Can I ask you guys this? Who's the greatest baseball player you've ever seen? For me, it's Barry Bonds. Yeah. And like, I know he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame, but I know what I saw, and I don't need him getting to the Hall of Fame to justify or to sort of put a cap on an incredible career with all this stuff behind the scenes and the allegations and scandals and steroids and all that stuff. Reggie Bush, whether he had his Heisman or not, still one of the best football players I've ever seen at the college level.
I'll say this. As an
guy
award,
was unbelievable.
As a trophy winner, I won the Buckets and the Benerick. And those aren't anywhere close to being as reverenced and as respected as the Heisman. But nonetheless, that's our Heisman. The Benerick is the Defense Player of the Year. That's our Heisman. Getting the Buckets, to me as a linebacker, that's a Heisman. And that's a part of my ultimate legacy. I get to say that I won the Buckets. I represent what would be considered the best linebacker in the country. I would not want to leave here based upon my legacy and what that means to, like, generations upon generations of my family. When I'm long gone from here, will have the ability to go to the College Football Hall of Fame, to go to Penn State's Hall of Fame, to go through the Penn State football building, multiple places where they can see what somebody who is a part of them directly from years and years ago is there.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I feel like he was fighting for his legacy to have that Heisman. Like, sure, people acknowledge it, but the fact that it was not being acknowledged by the Heisman Trust, the Heisman itself, to me, I feel like that would hurt. And I know it would hurt because I felt like I was in jeopardy when all of the Sandusky scandal that took place at Penn State, they wiped our record clean. So my Buckets year would have been wiped clean had they vacated the victories and kept it that way.
It would have gone that far to where they would take away individual
It goes
awards?
back to my freshman year.
Damn.
It would have went back. My freshman year would have been the only year that counted, and I didn't even play. So the idea of it is I would have literally never had a career at Penn State. You know what I mean? So I know it from a more intimate level. Or I didn't break any rules, but somebody else's actions dictated what the ultimate, legacy in the history of what I was able to accomplish as a player with my teammates. And it was a very intense feeling to know that everything that we did, all the hard work, all the preparation, the off season, the winter workouts, the training camps, the leading up to the games, all of it was for naught. It's just that's, for what it's worth, you took the money, you broke the rules. Okay, if that's what it is, then stand on that. That's I have no problem with that. The idea of the rules being broken. But when you're talking about if you're looking at it from any other perspective, and I know for me, I didn't break any rules. So I'm looking at it from a perspective of it's purely about my legacy. So if Reggie Bush felt as though it was someone else that was more culpable, even if it was a family member, if it was not me that was doing this rule breaking, which I don't know the exact details. I don't know if Reggie Bush took the money. It could have been. I always was under the impression that it was a family member that took the money. That was what I had gotten. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if that is the case, and that's the scenario where a family member was benefiting from somebody else during the course of this time, and I'm Reggie Bush, I do not want my legacy being ruined based off of somebody else's decisions that were connected to me. That's how I would look at it.
Yeah, and it goes back to the initial point. It's why it makes it much simpler where you just say, what did the guy do on the field? Was he the best player? Yeah, there you go. Like it doesn't need to get more complicated than that. And that's unfortunately where I think some of these awards have gotten is they try – I mean, even the Hall of Fame. For the NFL Hall of Fame, like you see guys who should get in, but, well, how they treat them, how are they – and it's like, well, that's not really like how we viewed that player.
Terrell Owens. I still don't get it. It's just.
I mean, he's the case figure for a guy that, no doubt, was one of the greatest wide receivers to ever do it. And yet, people, how he treated the man. It's like, what? Because he was doing abs? Because he's got a 12-pack and he was doing abs outside of his home? Like, what do you mean? Like what's not Hall of Fame worthy?
Yeah, it's I look at it and I go, best player, one of the best players I've ever seen. That run Reggie Bush had against, was it
Fresno
a passing?
State.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah.
Like he was
Sorry,
so
Eddie.
good.
Sorry, Eddie.
Yeah, sorry, Eddie.
Sorry, Eddie.
Sorry to reminisce on Reggie Bush's run against Fresno State. I'm sorry,
bro. I'll never forget.
He was so good, man.
Did I tell you we watched as an entire team? We watched their Arizona State game before we played them in 2005. And Charlie Weiss, who was our head coach at the time, the reason why he did it was because he wanted our entire offense to understand how good Reggie was. Like what our defense had to go up against. And so in order for us to even have a chance at winning, it wasn't just us playing the defense. We were playing their offense. Like, we had to run the ball. We had to control the clock. We had to limit their possessions. Like, he wanted us to see it. And I've always said this to people. He was one of the only players where, when I was watching it, every time he touched the ball against Arizona State that year when we were watching this game, it would take your breath away. You were like, oh, we could take it. Oh, you're like every single time you're like, he's going to take it to the house. There was never another player, at least that I played against or afterwards, where I felt like every single time he touched the ball, he could make 11 dudes miss and take it to the house.
Mine is Peter Wark. I just got to put it out there. Greatest college ball player in terms of that element. Peter Wark was mine. I've never seen anything like it. And I'd say, Reggie Bush was as close as it came to seeing that. But just since we're having the conversation, I got to make sure, because I just got to make sure I put it out there, because that's
put it out there.
The
other thing is, I was almost going to say in my lifetime, but Barry Sanders was at Oklahoma State when I was born, I was really, really young. So I don't recall Barry Sanders as a Oklahoma State Cowboy. I remember him as a Detroit Lion. When you go back and look at what he was able to accomplish,
crazy.
It's silly. It is silly for as few games as he played and the production that he had in an era too where back then it wasn't like they weren't loading up the box to stop the run. Things weren't spread out. It wasn't like that. And he was still having the production he had. That was just ridiculous.
Well, my two favorite college football players of all time.
Thank you.
Brady Quinn and LaVar Arrington.
Thank you, John.
Oh, man,
Thank
sweet.
you very much. Appreciate
Until my nephew starts playing at Middle Tennessee next year, then you guys can kiss my ass.
Mondevu or Antoine DeMaile.
Yeah, Antoine DeMaile, that one.
Okay, all right.
By the way, if you can spell that, I'll buy you a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I can't even say it. But it's funny. I got a lion that's named Mondevu. So
yeah, well, look,
and we both named him from the same program. So there you go.
Yeah, I was meant to be.